kucheka.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Sio wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tukapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Jackie Wambiru with the latest news updates. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Muraru. Now, to kick us off, an autopsy report of the 26-year-old boda rider who was shot during the chaos at Kiganjo village in Thika, Kiambu County shows that he succumbed to excessive bleeding. The family of David Nduati expressed contentment with the report, even as it argued that urged the government to speed up investigations to bring up the culprits to book. The family is also seeking financial support from well-wishers to give their kin a decent send-off.
The report on the late David Nduati, who was shot dead during the chaos at Kiganjo village of our proposed market construction in Thika, Kiambu County, revealed that he died from excessive bleeding.
Vile daktari amesema, inaonekana Nduati alikuwa anaenda akafuatiliwa na risasi na alipigwa hapa chini ya mkono hapa chini, alafu ikatokea hapa kwenye kifua kwenye upande wa left.
At his family homestead, sadness fills the air. Thika Member of Parliament Alice Ngange, joined by others, came to console the family of the 26-year-old. The team say that no stone will be left unturned to ensure that those behind the killing are brought to book.
Mimi nilitembea hadi kwenye alikuwa, kufika hapo nilipata amelazwa tu kwa barabara.
And we would want a public inquest into this. We have people, eyewitnesses, and we know there were attempts to even remove the bullet from the chest so that they can cover up.
Na hakuna kitu ya mtu ameiba, na hakuna na alikuwa tu anajitafutia. Tukitaka tu serikali kama justice inaweza patikana, tunaweza furahia.
This is even as the family of the deceased are calling on well-wishers to help foot the bill to accord their kin a proper send-off as they are financially challenged.
Na tuna anything, hatuna kitu. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali itusikirie tu.
Yusufar reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, President William Ruto has called on the United States of America government to back Africa in its push for reforms in the financial architecture of multilateral lenders. Ruto, who spoke when he delivered a keynote address on democracy at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum in Atlanta, decried the huge financial burden of debt repayment on African countries, terming it a threat to democracy.
On his first day of a 4-day state visit to the United States, President William Ruto had a series of engagements. First up, an address on the subject of democracy at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum in Atlanta. Being the African Union's champion of institutional reform, President Ruto rallied the American government to back Africa's quest for reforms in the financial architecture of multilateral lenders such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
Later this week, I will have the privilege to engage with members of the American Congress, and I'm happy one of them is here, to make a case for many countries in Africa, including Kenya, seeking a just international financial architecture that will afford every developing country concessionary development financing to support our economies, build resilience against the effects of climate change, drive our belief in free market economy, and energize our democratic enterprise.
He also called on America to support ongoing efforts by African leaders to restore peace and security in parts of the continent.
Kenya has been and will continue to be a leader in the search for sustainable solutions to regional and global challenges. The war in Ukraine, the conflicts in the Middle East, the fighting in Sudan, South Sudan, Eastern DRC, the Sahel, and terrorism in Somalia all demand greater collaboration and strategic global leadership.
While highlighting Kenya's democratic credentials, President Ruto revisited his election in August 2022, saying his victory was a confirmation that Kenyans had expressed their will.
We celebrate the right of every Kenyan to choose their political representatives and participate in public decisions as a fundamental principle of democratic governance. In fact, I'll give you an example. In the last election, it was particularly very interesting. There was a narrative that had been weaved that the elections will be decided by something called the deep state and the system. But believe you me, if the deep state was to decide or the system was to decide, a different person would be standing before you today as President of Kenya.
He later visited the Martin Luther King Center to lay a wreath and to pay homage to the civil rights struggle. While at the Center for Disease Control headquarters, where he elaborated Kenya's plan to transform its health sector cooperation with the US government, President Ruto witnessed the signing of 2 MOUs between the CDC and PEPFAR, geared towards the operationalization of the Kenya National Public Health Institute and developing a sustainability roadmap for Kenya's HIV program.
It is important to state simply, directly, and clearly that the US government has been our greatest ally in this sector.
And now on education matters, learning activities in junior secondary schools across the country continue to be paralyzed, with JSS teachers downing their tools for the second week running. Teachers in Kilifi, Kwale and Machakos are the latest to join their colleagues around the country in demanding that the government reviews their contract to permanent and pensionable employment terms.
While holding peaceful demonstrations in Kilifi town, JSS teachers vowed to have the government compensate them for the period in which they worked as interns. A similar call was made in Machakos County, with JSS teachers here accusing the government of discrimination by employing them as interns on the contractual basis, yet they possess the same qualifications as their counterparts benefiting from permanent employment. In Kwale County, transport services were paralyzed on the Lunga-Lunga-Likoni road after striking. JSS teachers held a demonstration while closing the road at Ukunda and Diani areas along the highway.
Naomba sana umalize shule ukuje ufunze mtoto ajiriwe kabla mwalimu hajaajiriwa. Umemfunza ukiwa kwa board, umefundisha naye internship, amepata PNP. No more.
Moguls are tired. A verdict was given that internship is illegal. Whatever we are going through, we are saying we are not going back to Shakaola anymore. We are no longer going back to class. Moguls are compensated.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Joseph Wahungu.
Kenya Meteorological Department has issued a warning to Kenyans, especially in the coastal region, against venturing into the ocean by use of small boats as they risk being swept away by the strong winds resulting from Cyclone that is currently in the Indian Ocean. Those who will engage in deep sea activities were also advised to be cautious of the anticipated changes in weather. Strong winds and high waves between 10 to 30 knots are projected to be experienced over the coast of Kenya, Tanzania and Somalia.
With the formation of Cyclone in the Indian Ocean south of Seychelles on Tuesday last week, moving at 35 kilometers per hour, Kenya Meteorological Department, which has been tracking and monitoring closely the progress of Cyclone has issued a warning against use of small boats on the shores of Indian Ocean, noting that there is a likelihood for boats to be filled with water, a scenario that affects the stability of the small boats and crafts, hence risk being swept away. At the same time, those who plan to engage in deep sea activities have been urged to be cautious of any changes at the sea. According to their projections, southeasterly winds expected over Kenya and Tanzania waters with winds of 10 to 30 knots are pushing clouds towards the land, with the eye of the storm expected to dissipate at sea in the afternoon. Heavy rainfall will be expected in different parts of the country, including Nairobi as its aftermath. This is the second cyclone after Hidaya that has been projected on the Kenyan coast in the last 4 weeks. Opicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
The Ministry of Interior and National Administration has strengthened the capacity of the 47 county commissioners in spearheading tree planting activities through training and exercise jointly supported by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. The training curriculum, co-created with the Kenya School of Government, will empower the county commissioners in monitoring and reporting mechanisms for climate change interventions within their respective counties. According to Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Raymond Omolo, the impacts of climate change are unprecedented, with climate-induced extreme weather displacing over 250,000 people and affecting close to 500,000 people in the country. The PS said the government is committed to training county commissioners and over 15,000 national government administrative offices on climate change, including the 15 billion tree campaign.
Change Security Readiness Program, a strategic framework to guide and energize our efforts. This program is an internal mobilization strategy for the effective involvement of all national government administrative officers, providing strategic preparedness and a coordination mechanism to support the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, along with other stakeholders in the nationwide implementation of the climate change interventions. Under the NCC SRP, officers will be trained on climate change and to mobilize and support the 15 billion tree campaign and other climate change interventions, fostering an understanding of different ecosystems and actions to support climate resilient development.
And I cross over to Parliament buildings, where the Senate Committee on Education is meeting with the Teachers Service Commission CEO Nancy Macharia to deliberate on the responses to the statements pending before the committee. Now let's listen in.
And the list of the consortium partners, Chair, if you look at page 4, we have all of them there from number 1 to 9. I don't have to go through all of them. Then a list of medical facilities in Taita-Taveta County is attached as Appendix 1. Then we were told to provide contractual agreements between TSC and the service providers, Chair.
Chair, that appendix is not there. That appendix 1. Appendix.
We can distribute it. It's here then.
Please have it distributed.
Yes.
Sergeant at arms.
Yeah. So, about the contractual agreements, the teacher medical scheme contract was awarded to a consortium service provider with Minet Kenya Insurance Brokers Limited as the lead consortium member. I think, Chair, this is important for the members to note, that we couldn't, as an employer, do this work because it's colossal. There are colossal sums and members, and we gave it to the leader of Minet, under the leadership of Minet. And in the consortium framework, medical administrators, we have the medical administrators, which is Mikel, is obligated to, among other roles, empanel medical service providers, including health facilities, to offer services under the scheme. And it was a term of the contract that the consortium will empanel a team of medical service providers from every part of the county to enable teachers access medical facilities within the sub-counties of closest proximity. And to this end, the obligation to contract service providers rests actually with Minet. And the Commission is not privy to the specific contractual arrangements between Mikel and the service providers, and the same can only be obtained from either Minet or Mikel. Further, the Commission has put in place an elaborate mechanism through a vibrant contract implementation team that evaluates and monitors schemes implementation. Then states the risk.
Well, that is the Teachers Service Commission CEO appearing before the Senate Committee on Education. Our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim is currently following up on that report. We shall be bringing you a comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletins. Well, for now, we take a short break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more reports coming up.
Tukipata 100k, yani tukipata kama leo, tutaifanyia kazi after culture festival, maybe we will be double profit on it. Kama ikiwa tutapata 100,000, basi tuweze tukatengeneza 200,000 within 1 month ama 1.5.
The 100,000, I start my business inshallah kuendeleza. Yeah, I am art, by the way. I used to drawing something, hata kukata vitu, kutengeneza decoration. Yeah, you know. Yeah, so itakuwa the big chance to do something, si ndio? Yeah, to niendeleze maisha na maisha itasonga.
Mimi nitainvest kununua tools za kutengeza chombo. Kama mimi ni dowmaker, lakini natumia local tools kutengeneza hii. Ikiwa nitakuwa na electrical tools, nitatengeneza faster. Kazi yangu itaiboresha vizuri zaidi kuliko kutumia mkono na take too longer kwa exercise.
Kipata 100,000, naongeza pikipiki ya pili ili nipate kuangalia familia kwa uzuri.
Nitainua biashara yangu
Kama sasa napika nyumbani, nikipata 100,000 nitafungua kama hoteli. Ukishafanya hiyo biashara sasa waweza ukaenda kama benki ukachukua mkopo, ukapewa, kilipa vizuri utaregesha, utapewa tena, nitapata 100,000 hata 200,000.
Nitafurahi sana. Nitajaribu pia kuinvest katika kazi yangu, kufanya mambo mazuri kama kurembesha kazi yangu, kutafuta zitu za kunisaidia kama life jacket. Ni big challenge kwa our marine security. Unaona? Ku maintain na dau pia ni ngumu sana, so it need a lot of work na yani itatusaidia katika pesa. Mambo hiyo ni mambo mengi sana ambayo itatusaidia sisi, maisha yangu mimi na familia yangu, na wale wote ambao wananitegemea mimi.
And where is she?
She is a he, and he is here.
What kind of a criminal do you think you are? A peddler?
Yeah, that's perfect, eh? Kinyanjui, the drug smuggler.
But Kinyanjui, you are a crook, and it is not only one mistake. It is several. In fact, innumerable.
Cynthia, that is a really good one. In what?
Welcome back. This is Lunchtime News. The remains of the late Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi will be interred on Thursday in Birjand, the capital of South Khorasan province, where he was recently re-elected as representative to the leadership watchdog body Assembly of Experts. The burial ceremony, to be led by Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, will be held in the shrine of the 8th Shia Imam Reza on Thursday evening. Already several funeral ceremonies for President Ibrahim Raisi and other officials killed in the helicopter crash on Sunday have kicked off in Iran.
A number of ceremonies for the final rites of the late Iranian president and top government officials killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday have kicked off in the northwestern city of Tabriz. From Tabriz, the body of Raisi and those who died alongside him will then be moved to the religious city of Qom, where another procession is planned at 16:30 local time, 13 GMT. The bodies will then be taken to the capital city of Tehran, where a funeral ceremony is planned for Wednesday, which has been designated a public holiday in Iran, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei leading congregational prayers for Raisi and others. On Thursday morning, the body of Raisi will be moved to Birjand, the capital city of South Khorasan province, for burial. Mohammad Mokhber, the country's vice president, has been appointed as acting president, and Ali Bagheri Khan, who was a deputy foreign minister, is now the foreign minister. The cause of the helicopter crash remains unclear, but Russia, Tehran's close ally, has offered its help with investigations. Iran will go to polls on the 28th of June to elect a new president. Serafina Robi for Lunchtime News.
The process of dividing and regularizing the East Africa Portland Cement Company land in Mavoko, Machakos County to squatters has been threatened by the interferences of land brokers and cartels. Portland Cement agreed to settle squatters on part of its land measuring about 709 acres on an offer following a year of negotiations and legally settle its occupants. However, the process, which commenced 2 years ago, is now facing a major setback from a cartel that said it was willing to pay the required fee. The cartel is said to be conning members, asking for an unexplained 3,000 shillings fee to have them exempted from paying for their plots. Occupants of the land are required to pay Portland Cement 600,000 shillings for a plot measuring 50 by 100 within 3 years.
Pesa yao iko kwa mikono ile halali. Number 2, kama kuna mtu yeyote akona shida na legalization, ofisi yetu iko open kutoka Monday to Saturday. Akuja alete complaints zake hapo, tutatatua.
Na ile muda tumepewa na Portland members wetu wanajua, na tuko nyuma ya members wetu, na hakuna mtu mmoja members wetu hata mmoja atakuja kunyang'anywa plot yake hapa. Na tuko members hizi association zote tatu, tuko more than 5 to 6,000 members.
Now moving on, victims of floods and landslide in Ngotu area of Mathioya in Murang'a County have benefited from Huduma Mashinani services after a majority of them lost their identification documents. The exercise that was led by philanthropist Stanley Kamau of Ahadi, Kenya, so the residents get help in replacing their lost essential documents like identity cards and birth certificates, among other essential documents. The exercise also benefited other area residents who needed Huduma services but could not access them at the Huduma Center in Murang'a town.
Here to make sure that all the persons who are affected by the floods today, they all get back their documents, they get their IDs, they get their PIN numbers, they get their birth certificate, and for those who lost their relatives, they're also going to get their death certificates at this particular point.
Huko beleni singeweza kutafuta manake sina pesa, lakini juu imekuja hapa nikaonelea nikuje nichukulie hapa. Nashukuru kabisa kufika hapa.
Rescue operations have been terminated at the accident scene where a 3-story building collapsed on Monday in the Fort Nyayo area in South B, Nairobi County. This is after the rescue team comprising of Kenya Defence Forces, the Red Cross and the Nairobi County government said they believe there were no more people buried under the building's debris after rescuing 4 people on Monday night.
Watu raia ndio walikuwa wanapiga manduru, wanasema watu wetu wanaita fulani fulani, fulani anaitika ndani, lakini mwenye anamuokoa yuko. Naona serikali yenyewe wanasimama hapa na bunduki na hakuna kitu wanasaidia.
Na pia watu wamehamishwa hapa watafutiwe njia na namna watakavyoishi. Kuna watoto hapa bado hawajaenda shule, hawajarudi mashule, wengi tena sana. Sasa wako hapa tu wanachemba vile unavyoona huko ng'ambo yote, vijana tu wako hapa wanachemba tu, hawana mali ya kwenda.
Wako na maisha chini, mama mboga, mama nini, sasa sisi tunasimama wapi? Alisema anatujengea vibanda. Hatuoni hizo vibanda ziko wapi? Na bado wanaendelea kutubomolea. Tunaenda wapi?
Lecturers in at least 7 public universities have planned to down their tools over salary delays. In a joint press briefing at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, Juja main campus in Kiambu County, JKU Art Chapter Chairman Moiga Rugara blamed the government and the university management of failing in their obligations and subjecting public institutions of higher education to possible collapse.
Monday AM next week on 20th, if salaries will not have been paid, we will be picketing every day until the salaries are paid. And in addition to this, we will engage in monthly picketing from the 5th of each day of the new month. If the salaries for the previous month has not been paid in time.
Most of our members, as we are talking now, they are surviving out of loans from Shylocks, loans from Mshwari, loans from Fuliza, which is very embarrassing for a member of staff.
Kenya says it will stick to the One China principle in regards to the Taiwan question. The chairman of the Defense Committee in the National Assembly, Nelson Koech, said Parliament supports China's position and will not involve itself on matters relating to Taiwan politics. Chinese ambassador to Kenya, Zhou Pengjian, who had hosted Kenyan leaders, reiterated Taiwan is an unalienable part of China's territory.
Gentlemen. Addressing China's position on the Taiwan's question at the Chinese embassy in Kenya, Chinese ambassador to Kenya Zhou Pengjian said China's reunification will not harm the legitimate interest of any other country, including the economic interest in Taiwan.
On the contrary, it will bring more opportunities to all countries. It will create more positive momentum for prosperity and stability in the Asia-Pacific and the rest of the world. We will never allow Taiwan to be separated from the motherland.
His sentiments were echoed by members of parliament led by Defense Committee Chairman Nelson Koech, who is also the Belgut Member of Parliament.
We as parliament truly consider as the position of parliament, position of Kenya, that China is one, and any situation thereof is analysis. And like Kenya has always reiterated, that diplomatic avenues be used to address any issues other than extremism, like issues of secession.
Kenya says it supports One China policy, maintaining Taiwan is part of China.
Kenya subscribes fully and irrevocably to One China policy. This policy guides Kenya to hold Taiwan to be an inalienable part of China's territory and the government of the People's Republic of China as the sole government representing the whole of China.
The sovereignty of China over Taiwan is therefore self-evident and is recognized by 183 countries who are members of the United Nations. We should not be having even a topic of the Taiwan question. The question we should be asking is why there is a prevailing deceit over Taiwan.
Paulina Simiu for Lunchtime.
Parents have been advised against hiding their children with disabilities and instead expose them to registration for assistance. Speaking when she donated wheelchairs to people with disabilities at Kerina Special School in Kisii South, Kisii Women Representative Doris Aburi said the group has the capability and ability to succeed in life like any other person. The donation through Donya Charity Mission will also allow parents or caregivers of the PWDs to engage elsewhere in productive work.
Wazazi wale wako nyumbani, usifiche mtoto. Juu shule zimetengwa, hawa watoto wanaishi na wanafunzwa. Sijaona mlemavu akiwa na shida yoyote. In any case, walemavu wengi wako na baraka. Kwa hivyo wazazi, muliko, toa watoto wote nje. Ofisi yangu iko huko town. Kama and register watoto wenyu, izile challenges wako nazo, kama mtoto ana need tricycle, kama ni wheelchair ama vitu zozote za kusomea, tuone vile tutawasaidia. Na hata wewe utapata kazi rahisi. Mtoto akiwa shule, mama unaweza enda hata shambani, juu tunajua watu wetu wanapenda kulima. Usiweke mtoto ufiche majirani. Mkiona kuna mzazi anajaribu kuficha mtoto, tuambie, sisi tutakuja tusaidie huyo mtoto.
Over 80 young individuals from the Northern Rangeland Trust in Isiolo and Marsabit counties have formed the first youth caucus aiming at promoting youth inclusion in conservation and leadership roles within their community conservancies. Selected through nominations from each of the 16 conservancies, they will undergo a comprehensive leadership and mentorship training to empower them as trainers and advocates for conservation. NRT CEO Tom Lalampar highlighted the significant benefits youth can gain from conservation efforts such as employment and educational support.
na kujenga taifa na kuhakikisha kwamba uhifadhi wetu imeweza kufaulu.
Ukiangalia SACCO ambayo iko na over 5,600 members ni youths tu na kina mama. Ukiangalia anything to do with the environment, the biggest beneficiaries will always be youth. And that's why I'm saying, as an organization, as NRT, we really purpose to work very closely with our youths.
One of the things that are very critical katika jamii sahihi ni jambo ambalo linaitwa matumizi ya mihadarati, drugs and substance abuse. Na tumeonelea vijana wakikuwa involved actively kwa miradi kama hii, unaweza na pia kuinvolve wao katika kitu inaitwa talent promotion. Vipaji vyao vikiweza kuwa engaged na kujitokeza, itasaidia sana kuhakikisha kwamba akili zao hazikui dormant na hawatajiingiza kwa mambo ya peer pressure na kwa mambo ya mihadarati na mambo mengine.
Well, that report brings us to our second break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we have business news and sports news coming up. Let's take that break.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back. Faithfuls at ACK Kisima branch in Samburu County have a reason to smile after the launch of a Samburu translated Bible. For decades, the community has been using the Bible translated in Maasai language, which has been a challenge to many who wanted to preach and read the scriptures. Addressing the press after the launch, faithfuls who expressed their gratitude for this new development appealed to religious leaders in the area to spread the gospel to more people to ensure they live by the teachings of the Word of God.
Samburu language by then did not have a standard orthography, okay? The writing system were not in place. So we took almost 2 years or 3 years to try now and bring the language to the standard of writing.
Leo tumebariki Biblia ya Kisamburu vitabu 3 na tunashukuru Mungu na tumefurahi kama Wasamburu. Tumepata sasa lugha yetu ambaye Mungu wetu, tumejua Mungu wetu anaongea lugha ya Kisamburu.
Na hata tutazidi kueneza Injili hata mahali kuna vita, tutahubiri kwa lugha ambayo wanaelewa, na ninaamini Mungu atatusaidia na atakomboa watu wetu.
Translated and completed the New Testament in 2019, 14th of December. They received the entire New Testament, and the reports that we are receiving is that the New Testament has brought a lot of transformation.
And our news making headlines in business. Kenya plans to launch a medical tourism strategy as it seeks to tap the multi-billion-dollar niche market. The strategy seeks to reposition Kenya as leader in medical tourism in Africa, a position currently held by South Africa. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua says the government will work with the private sector to deepen medical tourism in Kenya.
How do we get these people to come here and get here? And that will mean working also with hotels, working with tour agencies, so that as they come here, they are told, you can get this type of treatment, you can get checked here, 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 and here. So they are aware. A lot of people don't look for services because they are not aware the services are in existence. Once people are aware that those services exist in Kenya, and Kenya is highly ranked this way, then we're able to move forward.
In other news, Kenya should increase investment in agricultural innovation and adaptation to address the rapidly changing agri-food systems. Joel Okwiri, the agriculture economist at Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, says there is also a need for collaboration with regional economic communities to accelerate agricultural transformation.
To secure food future and enhance economic resilience, Kenya requires adequate funding and cooperative efforts. Experts say underfunding and lack of progressive legal frameworks will make Kenya fall behind in its agricultural productivity and sustainability goals.
Key thing is, once we have identified the key intervention which we think we should be implementing in the next 10 years, we'll call upon government to put more money, to more investment in the sector in terms of infrastructure, in terms of technical assistance, in terms of extension services for our farmers, so that they're able to boost their production and production.
Speaking during a regional economic community's consultations towards the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program agenda, Joel Okwiri, the agriculture economist at Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, is championing for increased investment in research and development, infrastructure and farmer education in Kenya to increase production.
The government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, recognizes and appreciates the strategic role that the RECs play in the African agriculture transformation, and is committed to work with the member states from the Eastern Bloc in the region to define both the commitment and the regional agricultural transformation agenda.
COMESA's call to action comes at a time when the agricultural sector faces numerous challenges, including erratic weather patterns, pests and diseases which threaten food security and livelihoods. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime.
Tourism numbers breached the 2 million mark last year, with Kenya attracting 2.1 million tourists in 2023. The 2023 Economy Survey shows hotel bed night occupancy rose by 23.2% to 8.6 million in 2023, of which 53.5% were occupied by Kenyans, accounting for more than half of total bed night occupancy in 2023. Let's have a look.
In the year under review, the surge in the growth of tourist arrivals saw the sector reach a recovery rate of 102.5% compared to 2019, surpassing the global pre-pandemic recovery rate of 88%. The growth, which was better than the pre-pandemic performance for the first time, also proved fruitful as the accommodation and hotel subsector created an additional 21,000 jobs.
The hotel bed night occupancy has also rose by 23.2%. That is expected because of the visitor arrival.
The growth was partly attributed to new hotels and the expansion of some of the existing ones. Additionally, the country also witnessed accelerated visitor arrivals during the Africa Climate Summit, together with two other major conferences that earmarked Nairobi as the top city in the world in the Best in Travel 2024 by USA-based agency Lonely Planet. The recovery has been attributed to the weakening of the shilling against major global currencies, as well as the effects of inflation locally and internationally, as well as the rebounding indicating higher per capita spending by arriving tourists.
The international visitors' arrival was 2,035,000. That went down to 579.6 thousand, and that is just at the peak of COVID. And from that point, it has been rising, and we can now see that last year we have recovered from where we stopped in 2019.
The report projects that the sector performance will grow to 430 billion shillings in 2024. It also projects hitting up to 1.024 trillion by 2028, indicating a possibility of the country achieving the government's vision of attracting 5 million tourists by 2028. Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Kenya is strengthening its preparedness to cope with emergent pests that are threatening banana production. One particular pest that is currently posing a threat to banana production in Eastern Africa is Fusarium wilt that can cause up to 100% yield loss in banana and plantain farms.
Kenya is racing against time to mitigate the impact of the fungus Fusarium oxysporum, which is contagious and can cause up to 100% yield loss in banana and plantain farms. KEFI's Managing Director, Professor Theophilus Mutui, said there is need to prevent the fungi from getting to the soil through different simulation exercises to be able to control its prevalence.
Fusarium oxysporum TR4 is a very dangerous pest. It is only found in Mozambique and Comoros Island so far. It is not found in Kenya and the neighboring countries. So we are working very hard with other national plant protection organizations to ensure that this particular pest does not get into the country.
A crackdown has been conducted on distribution of fake seed in different regions, emphasizing that those caught will face the full force of the law.
So our seed team or inspectors have been moving around. We have done arrests in Bomet, in Kericho, in Machakos, Makueni, in Meru, and all over. So we want to urge anybody who is intending to embark on use of fake seeds or selling of fake seeds. We are going to catch up with them and make sure that they are taken to court.
The KEFI's team has prepared state-of-the-art laboratories and quarantine centers for testing the produce that could be infected, which will help in the mitigation process.
We'll be having a simulation on preparation for the laboratory that can be able to do the test. We have our state-of-the-art laboratories at the plant quarantine station, and this particular laboratory will be utilized to receive the materials that could be received, that could be diseased. And then we have the farm where we'll be able to see how we collect the sample, how we do the destruction, and how we carry out other mechanisms.
Simulating what happens in a real-life situation if Fusarium TR4 is detected in a country. How do you respond to it? Who should be involved? What actions need to be taken by the National Plant Protection Organization, for example, KEFIS?
Ian Muse, Lunchtime News.
And on sports news, Bologna held Juventus to a 3-3 draw.
68 points with Juve in fourth before the final match day. Riccardo Calafiori scored a rebound in the second minute, followed by Santiago Castro heading in the second goal in the 11th minute. 8 minutes into the second, Federico Chiesa gave Juventus fans a reason to cheer as he scored for his team in the 76th minute.
Bulletin this afternoon. Thank you so much for choosing KBC Lunchtime News. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Jackie Wambiru. Sign language interpreter is Brian Muraro. Enjoy the rest of the day.
we asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
The sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go.